All right, next, truth or lie. Having nice things means freedom and happiness.
Yeah, I think we're going to get into a little bit of psychology here and keeping up with the Joneses, but I obviously would say that's a lie, Kamie. I mean, I think we've all experienced that, and whatever nice things mean to people, whether it's physical, tangible, nice things, be it a car or a house or whatever it might be, we know that that's very short term.
Yeah.
And that newness wears off, and it could be, splurging and going up to the Mall of America and dropping $1,000. I have a friend of mine last year who went to the Vikings game, and he went with a bunch of buddies, and they were at the 40-yard line. He said 7 rows up, and they had a driver drive them up there so they could enjoy beverages all day, had a great time. And he came back and he said, it was one of the best days ever. And I said, what did that run you? He's great seats and everything. He says, a little over $1,000. And my jaw dropped, and I'm like, you spent $1,000 to watch a Vikings game? And he's like, I'd do it all over again next Sunday. So again, oftentimes those things wear off, and it's the newness. And again, we're talking about tangible things, but in his case, it was an experience of joy that he had. But what I'm saying is, oftentimes keeping up with the Joneses is detrimental, if I can use that word, because we do want to have nice things. But at the end of the day, and I've said this a couple episodes ago, we talked about deferred gratification, not having all of those nice things so you can defer that and have nice things later on.
Right. And it takes me back to that Disney trip, because that family, it was last episode, I believe, but he took his grandkids and family to Disney, and he didn't defer that well, he deferred it until it was Disney time. Right. And then it was time to, have that gratification by taking the family to Disney. And we've touched on it so many times, but you have your home, and then your mortgage payment is more. So you don't have that cash flow outside of paying your mortgage, or you get a bigger home, you have more issues. You have carpet that you need to replace. You have the roof, there's hail damage and you have to pay for the roof or whatever.
I have a client of mine that I was just thinking about this more and more and more and more. And this client of mine was an extremely successful banker. And I'd worked with him for years and years. So he's probably been a client of ours for 20 years. It just made me think of it when you mentioned that. He's got a beautiful place on a lake. He's been a Harley rider forever. He's got a beautiful boat. They go to the Virgin Islands for 3 weeks every winter, big scuba divers. And I just remember, this was maybe 3-4 years ago. He's now in his early 70s. And he said, I talked to my wife and I said, look at all the stuff we have.
Yeah.
And he said, it's gotten to the point where all of that stuff is actually weighing on me. He's like, because I got to take the boat in and I have to get it winterized. And then, the motorcycle, I got to get that winterized. And then in the springtime, I feel like if I'm not using it, then it's kind of a waste. And he said, our garage is full of all this stuff. And he made reference to something that was kind of funny. And I think it really hit home with me. He said, every year that we go down to the Caribbean, he said, we go scuba diving. We always go to this same restaurant like twice in the time that we're there. And he said, the sun's just setting behind the ocean. And he says, we quickly run up and we find someone and they get a picture of us and they're like, oh, what a beautiful sunset. And he said, last year when I was at home, he said, I bet we've got 25 different pictures of the same exact sunset. And he said, why do we keep taking the same picture over and over again? I think at a certain point you get a realization like those things really don't matter. I mean, the pictures do, but taking the trips are definitely important. But I think, the bigger houses and the boats and the motorcycles and all the fancy cars and convertible, all that stuff, at a certain point, it doesn't necessarily bring you happiness.